Hey everybody, and thanks for watching Woodcrest Bonsai. Today I'm going to take this very long, lanky, leggy, but still alive Carissa grandiflora, also commonly called natal plum, Cascade, and I'm going to put it into this very large Cascade pot. And this poor tree has been neglected, except for being watered, for about 10 years, 15 maybe. And yes, it's because of me. And Cascades are not my favorite style, so this grew as a Cascade. So I said, okay, so I'll put it in a Cascade pot. This is another pot, and I'll show you that later. But it's been all glued together too. It fell off the bench and broke. But the tree is still alive. It still has some pretty nice growth. It has some issues, mainly that a lot of the limbs all come from basically the very top, and there is some branching below, but it's going to be a little confusing, I think. But at this point, I don't think I'm going to worry about the styling per se and try to get it perfect, because there's no way it's going to be perfect. It's just too long, it's too lanky, it's too leggy. So today, the real focus of what I'm doing today is just to rejuvenate it. We're talking about a tree that's been root bound for 10 to 15 years in a tiny pot that's 3 feet long, that's now going to go into this huge Cascade that'll have so much more soil to move into and to root into, that you can imagine that the Cascade part is going to explode with new growth too. So the first order of business is I'm going to take the big pot down, and then I'm going to put the tree on its side horizontally and just try to figure out what it is I've got. I know there are some portions that are completely dead that need to be removed. And so that's the next step, is take the big pot down and put the tree on its side, and then work the tree, and maybe not decide exactly where I want to go with it, but certainly take off the dead and see what we're up against. Once it's on its side, you can see right away that this branch here that's right in front of us is completely dead. There's no green under the cambium, and it's dead all the way to the base, way over here. And so I'm taking that one off completely. That whole branch is dead, so it comes off. Then we have this part of this branch here, which has dried out tremendously, and this is what Carissa look like when they're incredibly dry. And that branch goes all the way to here, so I'm taking it off too. And then we have this branch right here that has some growth at the end, but this is all dead right here. So I'm going to take that off. And then there's some other small incidental stuff that's also, take off all that little stuff that's also dead. Okay, so what does that do? That leaves us with 1, 2, 3, 4. And I don't know if you've ever heard me mention, but 4 stalks in Japan is considered major taboo, because the word for 4 also means death. So 4 in Japan is like 13 in the West. There is no 4th floor on a hotel, just as there is no floor 13 on a hotel. Due to technical difficulties, we are restarting this video. Alright, so where was I before we were so rudely interrupted? Oh yeah, 4. So we don't want 4. Of course, what are we going to do now? This one splits here. This one splits once. And you know, all the growth is way at the end. This one actually has some decent growth here. And then we've got this little guy here. So if we turn it back upright, and typically a Cascade is kind of like that. You don't want the whole thing coming straight at you. So something like that. So could I bring this number 4 up as an apex? Obviously it's way too tall right now. And I also have this little bit of growth that could be an apex. So I may just actually remove this one too. And you know, once again, I'm just confused as to exactly what to do. So yes, just let's do it. I think this one's too close to the edge of the pot, and the other 3 are the longest ones, so I'm going to take him off too. And we've got this really funky root that I think is just going to stay. So I think we're ready to repot. Probably the only other maintenance that I'm going to do, perhaps once it's in the big pot, is to take the tips off of some of these guys. You know, all the tips off of the growth that is still alive, and attempt to get some more sprouting along the trunk, which it will do. I have a lot of Carissa. I haven't really shown them on the channel, but I have a lot of Carissa, and they will resprout off of old wood quite readily. So now the fun part is going to be getting it out of this pot. Oh, and here you can see that the pot has been repaired. Big crack there, big crack there, another crack there, and another crack there. Okay, and this was actually a set of 3. So I think I have all 3 pots still left. I do. This is the middle one. I have a smaller one and I have a larger one. The smaller one also has a Cascade Carissa, which is also pretty much in the same state. So I think I'm going to need to get something lower. I have a stool that I can put the big pot on. That's probably going to be easier to fill it and do all the rest of it, because the pot itself is at least 1.5 feet high, so you'll never see the process. So I'm going to start doing that. I think I'm going to take this critter out of the pot, out of this pot, and that's going to require some sawing because it just won't pull out. I've already tried it. So I have my trusty blade. Let's see. Oh, talk about root bound. And I have to be hiding what I'm doing because I have to bear down on the pot to keep it from falling over. Okay, so will that do it? Oh my God, no. Wait, I feel it. There it is. Root bound like the bejeebers. However, a lot of fairly healthy white roots. So that's pretty amazing. And if we look inside the pot, you can see all the suture lines where I glued it all back together. And I can do something with this pot. Not quite sure what. And actually the largest pot of the set does not have a Cascade plant in it. Okay, so for now, we're going to just give him, he's not going to take center stage anymore, and I'm going to get the pot set up. I've got the pot set up on my trusty stool, which makes everything so much lower. And the first thing I'm going to do is take some window mesh and put it down in the bottom of the pot. Woo! And now this pot is very heavy, extremely heavy, really thick walls. However, I do not want it falling over. So as you can see back here, I've got a couple of handfuls of my 1 to 3 inch landscape rock that I used the other day to weigh down the tamarind. And I'm just going to take a few handfuls of that rock, put it into the bottom in an attempt to give it better stability. Okay, boy, this is going to be a lot of new roots for that tree. Then I'm going to put my larger size 1/4 inch bonsai soil up to about where the old root ball is going to be, something like that. So there's a lot of space in there. And then I'm probably going to try to feather out these roots. I mean, this thing is like a brick. I mean, it's just crazy. Well, 15 years of sitting in the same pot. It's not crazy at all, actually. So I've got a 3-gallon pot with my large soil mix. And as I figured, there was not enough. So I need to refill the pot, come back. Okay, here goes. That's probably pretty good. You can see my hand. You know, when I put my arm in the bottom of the pot, it was all the way to here. So now it's just to here. And if I put the thing, it's a little bit. Actually, that's not bad. Because then what I'm going to do is take some finer mix and fill the rest of the pot with some finer mix. So now what do we do? I think I've got to at least try to feather those roots out of the old root ball, at least a little bit. So that's going to be the next step. So I'm just going to try to open up the root ball a little bit. I'm not looking at doing any kind of massive removal of roots, because the tree is going to have a huge, oh my God. It is so root bound, it's almost ridiculous. I don't think, you know, there's a piece of window screen way, 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 way down in there. You know, I'm just going to leave it. It's got so much new soil that it should be fine. But I do need to add some, this is the finer mix. And then the pot has a decorative side, all 4 sides, so I don't think it really matters. And a lot of times you put cascades like at an angle on the corner, but I think I'm just going to go like that. Get my scoop, which is my hand. I think I may just cut the top of the root ball a little bit. Not sure why. So we don't have any circling roots, although I don't think circling roots are going to be that big of a deal on this thing. Honestly, the fact that it's alive at all is a testament to just how incredibly tough Carissa are. Got my hospital tray. And that looks like I'm not going to have enough of that either. Well, you know what they say. There's more where that came from. So, time to go get some more. I remembered my scoop. So it just needs to be topped up a little bit. There's a place in the front here where it's, in order to get this weird point right here out over the pot, I had to bring the root ball very close to the one edge. So I'm going to use my scissors slash chopstick. Get some soil down in there. Alright, that's looking pretty good. And boy, it sure is long. Even with this pot, it's still a good foot or more below the bottom of the pot, which I will show you. The quote-unquote finished product, or I guess we should say the new beginning. You know, it looks better already. So the Cascade part will come from the side. I'm going to promote this little tiny guy to be an apex here. And then of course we have so much legginess and lankiness. But like I said, I'm going to chop all the tips. I did some already, but yeah, I chopped that guy already. So there we go. And then, we're going to have something like this, where this one comes out like this, and this one fills in this space here, kind of like that. And then we have our back branch, which would be in there, and, get this stuff down. So the next thing I'm going to do is just to let it recover and see what kind of results we get. And now that I filled the pot up with those big rocks in the bottom, and then 80% of the medium-sized bonsai soil, which is all rocks, and then 15% of the top with the, it now weighs about 60 pounds. Ay, 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 ay. Anyway, it's a new lease on life. And it should be interesting. And if you're interested to see what this thing actually does, and will it come out to actually be a decent looking Cascade, then if you're not already subscribed, please hit that subscribe button, hit the notification bell, and I'll keep you up to date on the progress of this guy. And if you like this video, please give me a thumbs up. You know, it's an interesting aside because my friend gave me this pot along with a lot of her collection, and she had never used it. It was still brand new. Inside, you could tell it had never had any dirt in it, and in fact she had it upside down as a pedestal where she had another smaller plant on basically what was the bottom, but it was turned upside down. So this is the first time this pot has ever been used, and it still looks incredibly dirty, but when you rub it, you know, that is actually all that. It's just part of the glaze. So anyway, thanks for watching. Should be interesting to see how this guy evolves. And I think it's now heavy enough where it's not going to fall off the bench. But that is another tricky part about having a Cascade, is because all of this is much lower than the pot. You need to have the pot basically right at the edge of your bench, because otherwise this stuff will be like up on here like this on the bench, which is ridiculous. So now I have to go find a place for it. So I think I'll do that off camera. I may need my wheelbarrow to move the thing around. So anyway, thanks for watching. So please like, subscribe, hit the notification bell, leave a comment. What do you think? And I will see you in the next video.